Alright, okay, this is Abel Emmanuel, and I just want to show some few things I forgot to show in the last video. Still the same rig, but I have done some updates. Is the truck Toyota Hilux 1996 model. So quite a few other things, other controls have been added, and first of all, someone requested to see if the vehicle moves, the wheels rotates or not. That's just the basic for vehicle rigging. First point of all is to see that your wheel rotates before other controls are now created. So when I drag my master control here, you discover the vehicle wheel rotates and follow the control. So you can see it is pretty quite cool, and it's just cool. So I'm going to translate back to okay. So next the various controls I've created inside my vehicle master control, and like I've said before, I just want to make this video a complete one, so let me just show all the controls all over again. First, here on my list, the door controls, all the doors. So if I grab this and just slide my middle mouse button here, I can see the value of these door attributes have changed, and as the value changes, it affects the door. So you can see how it really affects the door. So alright, that's for the doors. I'm just going to make this one a quick one. The bank control, which actually tilts the vehicle left and right. I may want to just adjust some few things here in the curve. Let me just get this straight to my graph editor and see for this control how the graph works. Okay, too much of bunch of controls. Alright, this is my bank node. I will want to check it out here. My graph editor is messed up. I just want to straighten this and tilt this a little, and see how it works. So if I grab this, my bank node, alright, this is cool. Okay, and my brake node, see what happens here when I okay, see what happens here when I apply the brake. It's actually goes down. Okay, maybe I'll just adjust that curve in also my brake node. So my brake node, say brake. I'll also check that curve and see that just flat that in. So I'll see what happens when I apply the brakes. So this brake, I actually want to slow and stop trans. Okay, then the next is the acceleration node. You can actually see what happens when we apply the brake. Actually has an effect on the springs. So next is the acceleration, and this what happens is the opposite of what happens to the brake, but I kind of want to see how it affects the propeller here. So it's pretty cool, and I have the control here, the drift control, and then this is what it does. Actually tilt the vehicles, and the actually rotates the vehicle on the y-axis, and it's pretty cool when you want to make a vehicle to drift and in a turn, and then you add the steering this way, so you can see how the vehicle drifts. And okay, that's good. Okay, then the steering control is this one that turns the front wheels of the vehicle. So you can actually see how this is cool. You see what happens when we turn that. So it's a pretty cool control here. So this is good, and I want to see what happens when we actually change the values in the attribute of the steering control. This is what happens. Actually turns the steering wheels, and the front wheels are also affected by that. So this is super cool. So turn. So this is good, and we have, apart from the brake node that affects our shock system here, or the front spring, we also have front shock, an attribute that affects only just one of the control. Actually, I'm going to show you what really happens here. Let me just turn off my vehicle body and see what happens. The brake control actually affects both shock, front shock absorbers. Why? The front shock left affects just one, and the front shock right affects the other, and both can also act like the brake control. So that's just what happens there. And this is turn on my body control. My body, vehicle body layer, and the back also has this shock system in case when you just the back tire enters a pothole, and just one is a pothole, just one pothole. If your vehicle enters a pothole, might be just one wheel at a time, so that's why I have created this. So this is just for one wheel at a time. It goes down on the back too, for one wheel at a time, back left wheel. And then my engine starts. See what happens when I play back on my timeline. Nothing happens to the vehicle. This shows that the vehicle's engine is not running. Then when I want to simulate the running of the vehicle engine, I just turn the start of this, and this acts like an ignition. So what it does is to turn on the engine. So when I play this back on, I see the propeller is actually turning, ready to propel the back wheel. But when it's turned off, play back on your timeline, is off. When you turn it on, playback on your timeline is on. And I want to show you what happens if you put this vehicle on an accelerate mode and it goes down. Propeller still works very well, so you can see that it works very well. So that's super cool. And I'll just turn back my start to off. The wipers, I have this wiper control, actually wipes the vehicle's windscreen, so this is good. And yeah, a bunch of other control, front wheel left, and pothole, so that's good for all, for back wheel, so this is good. And the pressure is something I added. I did this one about a day ago, no, about 2 days ago, and what this actually does is to deflate the tires. It's a kind of dynamic control for the tire pressure. What it does is to deflate the tire. When a vehicle stands on the ground, the weight actually makes the tire actually compresses the tire at the bottom side, touching the ground, actually compresses the tire. So this is what it does. It's supposed to have that compression down, and when you look at from side view, you can see it's supposed to make that, actually compresses the tire downwards. So that's what it does. And if we want to have flat tires, we can actually dial it down, to have that flat tire, simulation. And what I did here, I added all to just one attribute here. And in other words, if I want to make one at a time, that means I have to create one control each for each tire. We need to create a control for each tire. So I think this is good. And see what happens when I dial this down and also propel my vehicle forward. It's actually super cool when we look at translate, actually play that, just think of it. It doesn't just compress and rotate the compression side upward. Any part that touches the ground compresses. So once it's leaving, it compress up. So that's all. My name is Emmanuel. Thanks for watching. It's super cool.